Welcome to the program from the National Assembly, House of Representatives. I am Itaire Ikwen. Thanks for joining us. The Green Chamber has resumed plenary after what turned out to be a 40-day recess for the Easter and Salah celebrations. Lawmakers resumed in the new-look main chamber of the House of Representatives, which is now open for plenaries after 21 months of renovation. Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, used the resumption of plenary to remind lawmakers of the need to rededicate themselves to enacting laws that will enhance the welfare and well-being of the masses, just as he highlighted areas of collaboration between the legislature and the executive to accelerate national growth and development. We begin the program with highlights of the resumption of plenary at the House of Representatives.
Almighty God, creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee, fair and guide all our counsels and actions, so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity and uphold our honor and glory. So help me God. Colleagues, I have a short speech for you, considering that we are coming back from recess. And the speech reads as follows. Honorable colleagues, I'm excited and proud to welcome you all back to this hallowed permanent chamber, which after 2 years of renovation stands renewed and transformed. As we gather in this transformed and modernized chamber, let us take a moment to marvel at the ingenuity and dedication that has culminated in these grand achievements. First, I extend my deepest thanks to the federal government, whose unwavering commitment and substantial investment made this renovation possible. I also wish to express our collective appreciation to the architects, engineers, construction workers, and all personnel involved in this. Today, we resume plenary session following a brief recess for the Easter and Eid al-Fitr celebrations. This holy period reminds us of the central role that faith plays in our lives and the fabric of Nigerian society. They teach us about sacrifice, redemption, and renewal, principles guiding our actions as citizens and leaders. As we represent diverse faiths and cultures, let us remember that our diversity is not a division, but our greatest strength. It enhances our collective wisdom and enriches our perspectives, which is essential in crafting legislation that benefits all Nigerians. I have no doubt that the recess has allowed us to rest and reconnect with our families and constituents. As we resume plenary sessions today, it is imperative that we reflect on some of the critical developments that coincided with our recess. Firstly, we acknowledge with profound gratitude the recent feats recorded by our security forces in some parts of the country, most especially in Borno and Katsina states, where many terrorists and bandits were neutralized and weapons recovered. I wish to express our profound gratitude and unwavering support to the brave men and women of our armed forces. Day and night, these courageous officers battle against the tides of insecurity and the scourge of terrorism that threatens the peace of our nation. The House will continue to support their efforts and ensure that the lives and livelihoods of all Nigerians are protected from internal and external threats. Despite significant progress in improving security, recent happenings remind us of the task ahead. The gruesome and dastardly murder of military personnel in Okwama in Delta State highlights the risk faced by those who continuously put their lives on the line for our defense and security. While condemning the killings, the House commiserates with the families of the fallen heroes. We urge security agencies to leave no stone unturned to bring the perpetrators to justice. Similarly, we urge everyone involved to exercise restraint and allow the law of the land to take its course. I wish to specifically commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for personally leading the funeral of the gallant patriots and awarding posthumous national honors to all the 17 of them. His gesture of scholarships and houses to the families of the slain military personnel is equally highly laudable. Honorable colleagues, we are painfully aware of the harrowing attacks that have specifically targeted our schools, where innocent children, especially girls, are abducted. Schools, which should be sanctuaries of learning and safety, have become targets for terrorists and kidnappers. These acts are not only heinous, but are direct attacks on the future of Nigeria and rob children of their right to education and secure childhood. The implication of these assaults stretch far beyond the immediate pain and disruption they cause. They sow fear in communities, discourage school attendance, and potentially stifle the education of a generation. We must not allow the ambitions of our children to be thwarted by fear. The House stands united with the armed forces and will advocate for comprehensive strategies to safeguard our schools. This involves not only physical security measures such as fencing, security personnel, and surveillance technologies, but also community-based strategies that involve local leaders in our security framework. On our part, we will continue to ensure that our security agencies have the necessary tools and legislation to act effectively. To this end, we recommend the establishment of a dedicated fund specifically for school safety. This fund will support the implementation of advanced security measures and training of security personnel and communities on strategies for protecting educational environments. Mindful of the financial requirement, this model can be piloted in a few schools, especially those that are most vulnerable to such attacks. Distinguished honorable colleagues, you may recall that this House expedited the passage of legislation that enhances coordination between different security agencies. We will work with the Senate to ensure the speedy consideration and onward transmission to the President for his assent. When finalized, the law will establish a clear framework for intelligence sharing and response coordination, which can significantly improve our preventive capabilities. The House supports President Tinubu's drive to establish a regional counterterrorism center for intelligence sharing, operational coordination, and capacity building throughout Africa. By understanding their needs directly, we can craft laws that empower rather than encumber. It is in this regard that we convene the first national dialogue on state policing. Various high-level stakeholders, including two former presidents, emphasized the need to review our policy structure to respond better to emerging threats, especially at the community level. The recommendations from the conversation have been forwarded to the Committee on Constitutional Alteration for further legislative action. Additionally, I have constituted the steering committee for the Legislative Security Summit with members drawn from all the security-based committees of the House. The summit is scheduled to hold in the third quarter of the year and represents our commitment to continuous engagements with security sector actors and citizens. Dear colleagues, the dialogue equally highlighted the increasing nexus between insecurity and crime, particularly regarding illegal mining and the theft of our mineral resources. The theft of mineral resources undermines our economy, reducing the funds available for public services, infrastructure, and welfare programs that could uplift millions of our citizens out of poverty. Furthermore, these illegal activities damage the environment and threaten livelihoods. In line with our agenda to boost government income and diversify the economy, the House will tighten regulations around mining operations, increase penalties for violations, and improve surveillance and enforcement mechanisms. Our intervention in this sector will necessarily involve closer collaboration with the executive. As such, we recommend the establishment of a joint task force dedicated to addressing illegal mining and mineral theft. This task force will coordinate between various government agencies, such as the mining police, to ensure a unified and robust response to these crimes. Additionally, the House will amend and enact legislation that will deter such activities and promote a transparent and sustainable mining sector. These legislative measures will include stricter licensing processes, enhanced penalties for non-compliance, and incentives for adopting best practices in environmental conservation. By working together, we can foster an environment that encourages legitimate investors and protect local communities. Ultimately, however, improving security entails addressing its root causes, which include poverty, inequality, and social injustice. We in the House are committed to addressing these issues through making and oversight activities. On the economic front, the government has made significant strides towards improving the economy. In the past months, the government has implemented several measures to stabilize the economy, enhance productivity, and boost investor confidence. Also, targeted actions have been taken to alleviate the inflationary effects of these reforms on the most vulnerable. The Central Bank of Nigeria has also taken critical steps to tighten monetary policy and refocus on its core mandate of maintaining price stability. It also hiked interest rate by 400 basis points to 22.75% to contain inflation and ease pressure on the naira. I commend the governor and his team for their proactiveness and focus. Going forward, however, there is a need to implement more measures that strengthen the value of naira in the long term. This includes implementing policies and initiatives focusing on value creation, on multiplication and expansion. One sure, even if difficult, way of achieving this is through optimizing agricultural and industrial productivity and exploring our mineral wealth, as indicated above. Revitalizing rural areas and enhancing rural connectivity can increase local production and stimulate the primary market. Despite the challenging economic outlook, the International Monetary Fund has applauded recent improvements in revenue collection and enhanced oil production, which reached 1.65 million barrels in January, mainly due to enhanced security in combating theft and vandalism. Other positive measures taken by the government include the launching of the Nigerian Consumer Credit Scheme, which ensures that citizens are able to afford basic items without necessarily paying out of pocket, as obtainable in advanced countries of the world. The President's approval of the Consumer Credit Scheme is significant, as it empowers citizens to improve their quality of life by accessing goods and services immediately and paying for them over time in a responsible manner. This scheme supports essential purchases like homes, vehicles, education, and healthcare, which are crucial for maintaining stability and achieving personal aspirations. Only recently, honorable colleagues, the government commenced the implementation of temporary cash transfers to 50 million households. The release of grains, seeds, and fertilizer by the government has contributed to improving food security. Although the price of food items remains high, a better harvest in the first half of the year is expected to contribute to a positive economic outlook, as GDP growth for 2024 is projected to reach 3.2%. Equally worth mentioning is the National Single Window Initiative, launched by Mr. President to modernize the country's trade processes. The initiative will streamline government trade compliance via a digital platform and connect all our ports, government agencies, and major stakeholders together. Honorable colleagues, you may also recall that on Wednesday, 3rd April 2024, the President also signed the revised Student Loans Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024. The new law creates the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, and addresses previous issues related to governance, the purpose of loans, eligibility of applicants, the application process, repayment terms, and loan recovery. The Act aims to ensure that economically disadvantaged Nigerians can access quality education and opportunities for skill development. Just 2 days ago, the President appointed an astute professional, Mr. Jim Ovia, CFR, as the chairman of the board of NELFON. We look forward to the immediate and meticulous implementation of the scheme. The House of Representatives recognizes and applauds these measures, which in the interim can address the impact of removing fuel and electricity subsidies. However, as noted in my keynote address at the House Conference on the Power Sector, wider consultation is required as Nigeria commences the implementation of the multi-tier electricity market. Major stakeholders at the forum emphasized the need to address deeper structural challenges, such as liquidity facing the sector. Honorable colleagues, it is in recognition of the crucial role of the legislature in promoting economic growth and development that the House retreat on economic transformation and development has been organized. Some of the issues to be tackled at the retreat include effective implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, tax reforms, and modernization. The retreat, which commences today, will be strategic in deepening the understanding and enhancing the effectiveness of the legislature in driving economic transformation, development, and comprehensive tax reforms. I will call on all members to participate fully in the deliberations and engage with the resource persons and their colleagues. As we reconvene for this plenary session, I must emphasize the critical role of legislative oversight, a cornerstone of our mandate as the representatives of the Nigerian people. With the 2024 budget in the implementation phase, we must intensify our efforts to monitor and evaluate the compliance and performance of the ministries, departments, and agencies. Oversight of budget implementation is not merely a procedural duty. It is a fundamental aspect of ensuring transparency and accountability in government spending. I call on all committees to scrutinize budget allocation and expenditures to deter mismanagement and waste, thereby protecting public funds and ensuring they serve the collective good of all Nigerians. Also, I wish to reiterate that our oversight duties and investigative hearings must be conducted with a heightened level of thoroughness, transparency, and effectiveness. All reports and recommendations from these activities must be promptly presented before this House in plenary for consideration and action. This is essential for improving public sector governance and service delivery. Accordingly, the Committee on Monitoring and Evaluation of Outstanding and ad hoc committees must ensure that all committees adhere to these terms of reference as outlined in our standing orders and conform to the highest standard of legislative ethics. By so doing, we can further strengthen and streamline legislative activities and exercise effective oversight of our government agencies. Dear honorable colleagues, another crucial aspect of our constitutional mandate is representation. This People's House has consistently prioritized direct engagement with our citizens to understand the heartbeat of our country. Through town halls, public hearings, and personal interactions, we gather invaluable feedback about the impact of our legislative activities and the aspiration of our people. However, our efforts must not stop there. I call upon each member to intensify engagement with their constituents through more formal structures. Establishing constituency office is not merely a routine, but a fundamental component of effective representation. Those who have not yet established these offices should do so promptly to ensure ongoing, fruitful interaction with the citizens we represent. We must not forget that our legitimacy as a legislator stems from the trust and mandate bestowed upon us by the people. To further this objective, the Committee on Constituency Outreach is tasked with overseeing the establishment and operation of these offices, ensuring they serve as effective bridges between this House and the communities we serve. Esteemed colleagues, June 2024 marks a significant milestone, the 25th anniversary of Nigeria's return to democracy and uninterrupted legislative governance. In celebration of this historic occasion, I'm pleased to announce the inaugural House Open Week, scheduled for June 2024. This significant event marks a new chapter in our legislative process, designed to foster greater transparency, accountability, and civic engagement. House Open Week will provide an exceptional opportunity for elected representatives to engage directly with the citizens we serve, discuss their concerns, and share insights into our legislative work. The benefits of this initiative are manifold. It will strengthen the bond between the National Assembly and the public, enhance mutual understanding, and promote a participatory approach to governance. By opening our doors and our processes, we aim to demystify the workings of this House, thereby empowering our citizens and enhancing their trust in our legislative institution. I urge every member to participate actively in this pioneering event. I also call on all partners to support us in ensuring the success of this event and ensure the broad participation of Nigerians at all levels. I'm equally pleased to share this exciting news of the commencement of the Parliamentary Development Program. This transformative initiative originated from a thorough capacity needs assessment conducted with the invaluable support of the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. It embarks on a 4-year journey to substantially enhance our institutional capabilities and systems. This program, generously supported by the House and our esteemed international development partners with the UNDP at the forefront, aims to refine our legislative procedures to align with global best practices. I strongly encourage every member and staff to engage actively in this program. Our gratitude to all other partners who contribute in different capacities to the success of the House, including PLAC, CAS, IAGA Africa, UN Women, PAL, NESG, and many others. Honorable colleagues, I wish to conclude by reiterating my unwavering faith in the Nigerian project and the dedicated leadership of the President. Only recently, Nigeria celebrated the commencement of flight operation from Lagos to London by an indigenous airline, Air Peace. This feat wouldn't have been possible without the support and intervention of the President and the resilience of the management of Air Peace. I am confident that under the guidance of Mr. President, our country will continue to thrive and overcome the challenges that lie ahead. The House of Representatives remain committed to being a steadfast partner in this journey, dedicated to contributing meaningfully to our nation's progress. Together with a spirit of unity and purpose, we work diligently to ensure that our actions and decisions as legislators uphold the aspiration of all Nigerians and steer our country towards greater prosperity and peace. Thank you. May God continue to prosper and bless our dear Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Commending you for not behaving like many politicians and abandoning an initiative by your predecessor. This very well decorated chamber today, which we have completed, is a testimony to continuity in leadership and governance. But I do have a petition from some of my constituents and associates from the Project Development Institute, PRODA Enugu, appealing for the intervention and statement back to office because they were unjustly victimized for insisting on the implementation of Presidential Directive on PRODA. They seek the support of the House for justice and fair hearing and raise statement back to work. I seek your permission, that of the House, to lay this petition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Akintunde Rotimi Jr., Member, House of Representatives, representing Ekiti North of Ekiti State, right? Yes. Right. And the message, the subject matter is assumption of office of the Onirele of Irele Ekiti.
This morning, Mr. Speaker, apart from congratulating you for this well-deserved Palace Chamber, Mr. Speaker, I have before me 73 petitions. Yes, Mr. Speaker, is in response to the solution that this Honorable House has provided to Nigerians. But in the course of time, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to present one. Mr. Speaker, this is coming from Ikota Basi. No response included to host community.
Please, because of time constraint, can you just summarize?
Yes, Mr.
Don't go into details, please.
Yes, I take your leave, Mr. Speaker. Provided the Petroleum Industrial Act by Total Energies, Nigeria Limited, and Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, may I lead the petition? Absolutely.
Please go ahead. The leader of the...
The Speaker, I rise this morning to lay petition before this Honorable House from one Mr. Femi Yoda, who seeks justice against Nigerian police force who shot and killed his brother last Monday in Lautech, Umosho, which is my constituency. The record petition, which is Mr. Yoda Femi, seeks for justice against Nigerian police force for his brother. I hereby seek leave of this House, for this Honorable House, to hereby submit this petition. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
Please go ahead.
To recognize Honorable Umar Shiwaji to move this motion. It's our Nigerian.
Steve Umar Ajilo is my name, member representing from the Abuja Federal Constituency. I am from the state. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, the House was worried by the lingering false casting accompanied by the citizens to increase the retail price of female voters to reach filling stations across the country, which has brought down additional hardship to all Nigerians. Speaker understands that this podcasting is coming at a time when the advanced economic effect caused by subsidy removal and storage said addressed by the government not to mention flourishing economic income of the Nigerian masses. Speaker, my dear colleagues, further concerned that Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited said to increase the perennial and persistent podcasting programs posed by Nigerians despite all resources at its disposal. Speaker, most worrisome is that all these economists have made the lives of average Nigerians unbearable, with a liter of oil saving as much as 1,200 in some states of the Federation. The Speaker, my dear colleagues, Health Assembly must rise to these occasions to ensure that lasting measures are taken to address these unfortunate and private situations permanently in the interest of all Nigerians. Speaker, my dear colleagues, my prayer is that all the House to combine the local Minister of Petroleum Resources and all relevant stakeholders in the petroleum industry to adhere to all these out of chamber to brief Nigerians on the real role to play in this current world scarcity and avoid the recurrence of the future. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues,
Honorable colleagues, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move a motion of urgent importance to allow this House look into the increase in electricity tariff and so on. Secondly, address issues surrounding the sudden hike in electricity prices, allied concerns over due process, fairness, and impact on consumers. The motion aims to restore public trust, protect consumer rights, and ensure regulatory accountability in Nigerian electricity supply industry. The facts presented include the alarming tariff increase announced by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, on April 1st, 2023, resulting in a staggering 300% rise for certain consumers. However, what's more concerning are the reports indicating discrepancies in customers' categorization and widespread complaints regarding the inadequate service despite increased charges. This situation has not just sparked national anxiety, but also threatened regulatory certainty and investor confidence in the sector, demanding immediate attention. This motion argues for legislative intervention, underlying our constitutional and moral obligation to address the crisis and alleviate the burden on Nigerian citizens. It places a strong emphasis on the legislative oversight rule over NEC and the utilities, stressing the need for fair and just pricing and consultation with stakeholders in tariff determination processes. This is not just a responsibility, but a duty we owe to our constituents. Key issues highlighted include the failure of due process in approving the tariff increase, concerns over discriminatory practices, and the disputed nature of government subsidies to electricity distribution company, DISCOs. This motion proposes resolution to suspend the tariff increase, establish a special committee for hearings involving relevant stakeholders, appoint a technical consultant to assess the legality and reasonableness of next procedures, and draft a bill to improve regulatory process in tariff setting. Overall, this motion underscores the importance of legislative action to address the challenges facing the electricity sector and ensure fair treatment of consumers while promoting transparency and accountability in regulatory decision making. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this has resulted in the context of the above-mentioned failure of due process and the negative implication of national security and socio-economic well-being of Nigerian citizens. I pray that the Honorable House will serve as hope that the House orders the National Electricity Regulatory Commission to suspend the operation of a recent announced tariff increase and other conditions in the newly issued review of the MITO. That the House sets up a special committee made up of the Committee on Power, Committee on Commerce, Delegated Legislature, and National Planning to organize a
order, please. Honorable colleagues, please return to your seats, please.
A
request structured hearing on the price regulations of NEC with the participation of the Honorable Minister of Power, Chairman and Commissioners of NEC, the CEO of all utilities in Nigeria, President of NLC and TUC, and leaders of the Chambers of Commerce in Nigeria. Appoint a well-regarded former regulator as technical consultant to how to develop a template for the establishment of the legality, reasonableness of the procedure adopted by the in approving the tariff increase and establishing the performance benchmark for disputes. Authorize the owner to work with the competitive draft to provide for administrative procedure that ensures proper consultation for review of process for tariff setting in the legislative and other processes in Nigerian electricity sector. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. This motion is referred to inspection for the TGP constituted in due course. Thank you.
Nigerian Institute of Cement Technology NICT Establishment Bill 2024 First Reading. Nigerian Anti-Kidnapping Exception Agency Establishment Bill 2024 First Reading. College of Entrepreneurship and Skill Acquisition Intiga Abia State Establishment Bill 2024 First Reading. Bank and Other Financial Institutions Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. National Youth Service Corps Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Federal Universities of Agriculture Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. National Agency for Artisanal Petroleum Refining Establishment Bill 2024 First Reading. Nigerian Military Academy Umoma Opo Enugu State Establishment Bill 2024 First Reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024 First Reading. Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Nigerian Maritime and Safety Agency Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Council for the Regulations of Freights and Freight Forwarding in Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. University of Jos Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024 First Reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024 First Reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024 First Reading. Nigerian Institute of Cashew Research Ejibo Establishment Bill 2024 First Reading. Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2024 First Reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024 First Reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024 First Reading.
Leader to move that the House will adjourn.
Meanwhile, some lawmakers gave their perspectives on issues that will engage the House as it seeks to legislate for the Nigerian people.
Nigerians will expect that members will center their discussion first on the issue of this tariff, of what has happened in the power sector. Even if there's going to be tariff increase, is it the proportion? I said so. Is it the proportion with which it has been done that it should be done? Is it also, is it timely? I also asked, I went further to say that the issue of classification of banks and here and there, if the argument that is based on infrastructures that's existing, why don't you improve on our infrastructures? before classifying band A, band B, band C. Because from the reactions you get from people, a lot of estates that have been classified as band A, the classifications, one may be tempted to say is not properly done. You have 3-4 houses in one feeder pillar, getting current from one source. One house is in band A, the other house is in a different band. So there be something they need to do more property. So to say the tariff will have come to stay, or the reasons that they've advanced, issue of flotation in exchange rate, issue of the poor infrastructures, decay infrastructures. Of course, you know that the infrastructures we have in the power sector they are really old, and for them to change it. But the question is, why don't you change those infrastructures before changing your tariff? We only hope, but let every Nigerian be ready to sacrifice something. But we need to also change our attitude towards public infrastructures. If not for the rate of vandalization on our public infrastructures, I'm sure the people won't be suffering the way they are suffering. You hear transformers being vandalized. You hear fire here and there in substations. So with this, somebody have to bear the brunt. There are a lot of things that have been thrown up. There are some states where presently one disco covers about 3 or 4 states. If you look at Jos, for example, you look at Benin disco, you look at Enugu, you look at Ibadan, they cut across states. Even in Lagos, Ikeja cuts across Lagos and part of Ogun. Eko cuts across Lagos and part of Ogun too. So in this dialogue we had, that's why, and even in the one NEC also had in Lagos, all of, they are of the view that states can come together and see whether it's possible to partner in one particular place so that there won't be frictions. Electricity, as of today, gives opportunity for a lot of people to come in, unlike when it was restricted. Now, if you have gone through that, it says generation, transmission, and discos. And states can even go into renewable energy within their jurisdictions, meaning that the states can license private investors, can license anybody. It's not entirely where you have to wait for TCN in Abuja before you can get something, or waiting for the GENCO that is far off, that states that actually need. If you look at what we have in Aba now with geometric, I'm sure that you are aware that the power situation in Aba have increased 100%, have improved 100%. The small-scale factories, they now work, and they are all working well. And the people they are happy. What has happened there is that it is this enabling act, even if the geometric have been on it over the years. But what reinforced or what made him to move faster than what people expected, even despite all the hurdles here and there, is that it has been thrown open. They have their own power systems. They have their everything that they deal with the people directly. So because it has opened up for many more people to enter into the sector, it has also helped us to, it's no longer restricted. The monopoly is gone. If there's anything President Tinubu have been able to do, throwing up the sector to private investors. And of course, you know that anything you have private investors, it's better handled than when it is only government. And though the government will give the enabling environment. What the government needs to do is to go on investment drive. That's at federal government. Go on investment drive. and see how do they straighten neck. Because if whoever transited into multi-tier system, there will, of course, there will be one or two legal issues coming up on, particularly where states are to come up with their own regulatory bodies. And if you look at the act, the state can issue as many licenses as they wish to give. There's no limit, so that the issue of control, governance, should be taken seriously, and the issue of enforcement, so that we speak with one standard. The issue of standard should be taken as priority by the government, because power involves life. Once there's a mishap in the power sector, not only properties will be destroyed, in some situations, lives are wasted. So the government, as we are sitting, should ensure and be strict over the enforcement of standards. And of course, we have nothing there. The government should strengthen nothing the more. A training institution to ensure that the sector is made up of only core professionals, not quacks who will do substandard jobs, and it will lead to mishaps in different places.
We have gone to different our constituencies and seen what our people need. It's a time for us to present it to the chamber, and the chamber will look into it. If it things that needed for us to have a resolution and communicate to the president, we do that. And the president have a listening ear of the National Assembly, because it's a product of the National Assembly. And definitely, nothing we have requested to the president, they have not given us attention. And we appreciate that.
Now the House had to adjourn that plenary for lawmakers to proceed to attend the opening of a two-day retreat for 360 members of the House. The aim of the retreat, organized by the leadership of the House, was to galvanize executive-legislative synergy on major economic laws, policies, and programs of the federal government, especially in the oil and gas sector. Let's take a listen.
The role of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, is crucial in enacting reforms that broaden the tax base, simplify the tax code, and enhance compliance mechanism without placing undue burden on Nigerians. What is the expected outcome of these retreats? The role of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, in this process cannot be overstated. We are the custodians of the people's will, entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that the lofty ideals enshrined in the PIA are translated into tangible benefits for all Nigerians. This retreat serves as a critical forum for us to collectively strategize on how to fulfill this vital mandate. This retreat is designed to be a springboard for action. By its conclusion, we aim to achieve a multi-pronged outcome. We will emerge with a deeper understanding of the Petroleum Industry Act and its impact on the oil and gas sector and our national development goals. We will collaboratively develop a clear roadmap of the House role in implementing and overseeing the PIA. This is consistent with the legislative agenda of the 10th House of Representatives and the Renewed Hope agenda of the President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. This roadmap will emphasize building strong partnership between the legislature, the executive, regulatory agencies, industry, stakeholders, and civil society organizations. We will identify areas for potential policy adjustment, capacity building initiatives, and the development of robust regulatory framework to support a successful PIA implementation. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, my distinguished colleagues, the path towards economic transformation and more prosperous Nigeria will have its challenges. However, Through collaboration, dedication, and strategic legislative action, we can overcome these hurdles and unlock the full potential of our nation. I encourage you to actively participate in the discussion, share your expertise, and contribute your ideas. Together, let us chart a course for a more vibrant, diversified, and equitable Nigerian economy that benefits all citizens and secures a brighter future for our future generation. I extend my heartfelt thanks to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and the Conrad Stephen for their invaluable support in making this retreat possible. Your contributions are a testament to the power of collaboration in driving positive change.
Before you to represent my minister, His Excellency Barrister Yusuf Wike, CON, and I read his speech as follows. On behalf of the FCT administration and the residents of FCT, it's indeed an honor to deliver this goodwill message at this two-day reporter retreat focused on effectively implementing the Petroleum Industry Reform Act 2021 and tax reform and modernization under the theme Navigating Change, Legislative Strategies for Economic Transformation. Permit me to begin by commending the Speaker and leadership of the House of Representatives for organizing such important retreats. This demonstrates your unwavering dedication to serving the people of our great nation. Your role as a legislator is pivotal in shaping policies that drive economic growth, foster innovations, and ensure equitable development for all Nigerians. The Petroleum Industry Reform Act 2021 represents a watershed moment in our nation's history. With its passage, we have laid the groundwork for a more transparent, efficient, and competitive petroleum industry. This legislation opens the door to greater investments, innovations, and job creation. However, its true impact will be realized through effective implementation. As representative of the people, it is incumbent upon us to ensure that the provision of these acts are translated into tangible benefits for all Nigerians. We must work tirelessly to foster an enabling environment for investment, promote local content participation, and uphold the highest standards of governance and accountability in the petroleum industry. Furthermore, the imperative of tax reform and modernization cannot be overstated. Our tax system must evolve to reflect the dynamic nature of our economy and the realities of the 21st century. By simplifying tax procedures, closing loopholes, and incentivizing compliance, we can enhance revenue generation, promote investment, and spur economic growth in the nation. As we embark on this journey of economic transformation, legislative strategies will play a pivotal role in navigating the changes and seizing the opportunities that lie ahead. Collaboration, consensus building, and visionary leadership will be essential in driving forward our agenda for sustainable development. I urge, therefore, during this retreat to approach the task before us with a spirit of unity, determination, and innovation. Let us harness the power of constructive dialogue, evidence-based policy making, and public-private partnership to chart a course towards a brighter future for all Nigerians.
And it is imperative that we as legislators align our efforts to support and enhance these endeavors. As a critical arm of government, the legislature has a crucial role in shaping our nation's economic transformation and development. Part of our lawmaking powers is the authority to enact tax reforms
and strengthen resource governance mechanisms. By designing and implementing progressive tax policies, we strive to ensure a fair and efficient tax system that boosts revenue while fostering economic growth and equity. This involves not only broadening the tax base and simplifying tax codes, but also enhancing compliance and minimizing loopholes that benefit only the wealthy. Furthermore, the legislature's oversight function is central in the governance of natural and financial resources. It ensures transparency and accountability in the exploitation and management of resources, which is essential for sustainable development. By holding government and private sectors accountable, the legislature helps to prevent the mismanagement and corruption that can often undermine economic progress. Flowing from the above, this retreat aims to foster stakeholder engagement, ensure constructive dialogue, exchange ideas, and offer insights on legislative strategies that will contribute to the economic transformation of our dear country. Accordingly, this forum allows us to take a deep dive into the tax reforms instituted by President Tinubu and undertake a review of the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. We consider these two initiatives vital in our nation's quest for economic recovery, transformation, and growth. The two areas speak to both the oil and non-oil sectors of the Nigerian economy. Excellencies, dear colleagues and guests, allow me to provide the general context within which this retreat is conceptualized. Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, has long been grappling with issues related to tax collection and revenue generation. As noted by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in 2021, Nigeria's general government revenue was recorded at 7.3% of GDP, which is significantly lower than the average revenue of countries in the economic community of West African states, and roughly a third of that in sub-Saharan Africa. This places Nigeria as number 191 out of 193 countries globally. Our fiscal revenue has declined predominantly due to decreasing oil revenue over the last 10 years, while non-oil revenue has remained stagnant at about 4 to 5% of GDP. Nigeria's tax revenue struggles are primarily due to narrow bases for indirect taxes, low compliance rates among taxpayers, substantial tax exemptions, and generally low tax rates. This situation is compounded by a lack of enthusiasm and morale for tax compliance, contributing to the nation's underwhelming fiscal performance. Comparatively, Nigeria's efficiency in collecting value-added tax is the lowest among its African peers, indicating significant inefficiencies in its tax system. This trend of low tax revenue, coupled with a continued dependency on the increasingly unstable oil revenue, present a major risk to Nigeria's fiscal sustainability. It also highlights an important area for potential reform to boost revenue and stabilize the country's economic framework. The lack of growth in non-oil revenue sources and the volatile nature of oil income underscore the urgent need for Nigeria to diversify its revenue base and enhance its fiscal management to ensure economic stability and growth. Upon our assuming office in 2023, President Tinubu made it clear that his administration will prioritize tax reforms to broaden the tax base and increase revenue collection. The first step in this direction was the establishment of the Presidential Tax Reform Implementation Committee,
PTRC in March 2023. This committee was tasked with reviewing existing tax laws and proposing recommendations for reforms. One of the most notable achievements of this committee was the introduction of the tax credit scheme. This scheme aims to incentivize tax compliance by offering tax credits to individuals and businesses that voluntarily register for taxes or file returns on time. For instance, individuals who register for taxes before 31st December of every given year will be eligible for a 15% tax credit on their total income tax liability for that particular year. Similarly, businesses that file their returns within 3 months from their financial year end will receive a 10% tax credit on their corporate income tax liability. These incentives are proven effective in encouraging more people and businesses to come forward and contribute to the formal tax system. Another significant reform was simplifying the process of registering for taxes. The Federal Inland Revenue Service introduced an online registration platform called Tax ID. This platform allows individuals and businesses to register for taxes anywhere in Nigeria using their national identity number or BVN, bank verification number. The ease of registration had led to an increment in new registrations across various sectors. Furthermore, President Tinubu's administration has shown commitment towards addressing issues related to informal sector participation in the formal tax system through various measures, such as collaborating with state governments and traditional rulers to engage formal sector operators and encourage them to register for taxes. It is gratifying to note that these efforts have started bearing fruit as more people from various sectors are now contributing towards building a stronger fiscal foundation for Nigeria. Recent reports from FIRS show a substantial increase in both individual and corporate income tax collections since these reforms were implemented. Furthermore, these collections have helped significantly reduce Nigeria's dependence on oil revenues. This is key to achieving economic diversification, transformation, and recovery. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is against this backdrop that this retreat assumes a greater significance. Several empirical studies have shown that Nigeria has the potential to further increase revenue if priority tax reforms are implemented. The House stands ready to support the executive to achieve this overall goal of reversing the negative trend. This is in keeping with our legislative agenda, which prioritizes economic growth and development, focusing on economic restructuring, diversification, and agricultural development, and enacting tax reforms that will simplify our tax codes, expand the tax base, and strengthen mechanisms for compliance. Of particular interest to the House is increasing government revenues without unduly burdening the citizens, especially the vulnerable. Another important thematic area at this retreat is the potential of digitalization and technology to transform tax administration by enhancing the efficiency, transparency, and fairness of tax systems. These advancements enable tax authorities to collect, process, and utilize information more effectively, leading to improved operational capacities. For taxpayers, integrating digital tools can simplify compliance, making it a more seamless part of everyday personal and business activities, thereby reducing friction and increasing ease of engagement with tax systems. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in 2021, the Federal Inland Revenue Service introduced a tax administration solution called Tax Pro Max for ease of tax compliance. Several similar efforts have been attempted in the past. For instance, in 2014, FIRS attempted automating tax collection with the Integrated Tax Administration System, ITAS, which was to be implemented on a tailored solution, known as the Standard Integrated Government Tax Administration System, STIGITAS. These attempts have not been successful, showing that the path to fully digitalizing tax administration is fraught with challenges, particularly in different economic contexts. Developing countries like Nigeria often struggle with the absence of fundamental technological infrastructure, which hampers the implementation of digital tax systems. Achieving the full benefits of digitalization requires not only the adoption of new technologies, but also adapting work patterns and overcoming managerial challenges. Your Excellencies, honorable colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the second leg of this retreat centers on the Petroleum Industry Act. The PIA represents a legislative milestone passed by the 9th Assembly. This act is not just a piece of legislation, but a transformative blueprint designed to overhaul the petroleum industry, which is the backbone of our economy today. It's an opportunity to align our actions with our aspirations, ensuring that this vital sector operates efficiently, transparently, and most importantly, beneficially for every Nigerian. As noted by the Brookings Institution, if executed effectively and thoroughly, the PIA could set a benchmark for exemplary natural resource management. This would involve distinct and defined roles within the industry subsectors, the establishment of a national petroleum company that is both commercially oriented and profit-driven, and the incorporation of transparency, good governance, and accountability in managing Nigeria's petroleum resources. Additionally, it will support the economic and social progress of host communities, ensure environmental remediation, and create a favorable business environment for oil and gas operations within the country. However, the realization of these outcomes depends on the ability of the political and oil industry leaders to address several significant challenges, including interpretative challenges due to ambiguous language, which could lead to disputes and uncertainty in its implementation. Also, the complexity of the law necessitates enhanced capacity building within new regulatory institutions to ensure effective interpretation and application, as well as efficient fund management. Moreover, regional tensions exacerbated by the challenges facing the PIA. The National Assembly of Nigeria is vital in ensuring continuous review of the Petroleum Industry Act to ensure its effectiveness in a rapidly evolving industry landscape. This involves meticulously monitoring the implementation of the Act, analyzing its impact, and identifying areas where modifications may be necessary. For these reasons, we are actively engaging various stakeholders at this retreat, including government bodies, industry experts, and community representatives. Today's sessions are designed to gather diverse perspectives and insights, which will be essential for making informed amendments that address emerging challenges and ensure that the Act meets its intended objectives. This iterative process will not only help in fine-tuning the Act, but also ensure that it remains aligned with the broader economic and environmental goals of Nigeria. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, The legislature's role in steering economic growth and development cannot be overstated. It is incumbent upon us, the elected representatives of our people, to ensure that our legislative framework supports robust economic growth and sustainable development. The People's House is ready to collaborate closely with the executive to enact targeted legislative interventions to address our current challenges and capitalize on new opportunities. Our commitment is to create a conducive environment for economic initiatives that can flourish and drive progress for everyone. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for accepting to be here today. The House is very grateful for the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Cora Adenua Stephen Foundation, the Federal Capital Territory, for their support and partnership in hosting this retreat. I wish us a fruitful and engaging retreat.
I cannot even pretend to be the president. I do not have his reach. I do not have his stature. I do not have his depth. So I can only deliver his speech, not pretending to be him, but as somebody who was sent to deliver on his behalf. So, Mr. Speaker, principal officers, and honorable members of the House of Representatives, the President has asked me to tell you that it gives him great joy to attend this two-day retreat. He says that he is delighted that you have selected this particular theme as the theme of this retreat. Mr. President says that the choice underscores our shared understanding of the critical role the legislature must play if we are to achieve the ambitious goals of national transformation and renewed hope that we have set for ourselves. He wants me to thank the leaders of the two chambers of the 10th National Assembly for the spirit of partnership, which has been the hallmark of our relationship since we assumed office. He says the existing goodwill, harmony, and collaboration between our government's executive and legislative arms are beneficial and crucial to achieving our shared national developmental goals. Mr. President further says that working together will help to deliver the gains of democratic good governance to our people and ensure the quick progress of our country desperately needs. He says further, despite the skeptics, the productive collaboration between the executive, the House, and the Senate has yielded significant results. We have successfully passed numerous bills, all aimed at enhancing the welfare of our fellow Nigerians. He is particularly appreciative that the welfare of our fellow Nigerians, and that being considered by the National Assemblies, that the National Assembly has taken the welfare of Nigerians into swift action in considering and passing the Students' Loan Bill of 2024. It says your actions have substantially fortified the legal framework of the Students' Tertiary Education Loan Program, ensuring its efficient implementation. These achievements are a testament to the power of partnership and positive impact it can have on our nation. In a World Bank document titled Legislative Oversight and Budgeting, a World Perspective, the President gleaned a phrase from that document, which was written by Thomas Frederick Remington, who wrote, and I quote, "For legislators to effectively fulfill their roles of representation, oversight, and lawmaking, a certain level of cooperation between the legislature and the executive in policy making is essential. The legislature must have the capacity to monitor the executive, and the executive in turn should be willing to comply with the legislative enactments. It is not just a coincidence, but a strategic advantage for the country that the Governing relationship between the executive and the legislature perfectly reflects this ideal. As you know, Mr. President's administration is implementing significant policy changes to reform how we govern and position our country for progress and shared prosperity for all citizens. These reforms, he says, while necessary and in some cases long overdue, are not without their challenges. Ms. Hayes is deeply grateful for your unwavering support and understanding during these times, and that your understanding and support have been invaluable, and that he is confident that with your continued collaboration, we can overcome any challenges that lie ahead. The oil and gas industry has long been the lifeblood of our national economy. This administration is working tirelessly to change this and diversify our economy from over-reliance on the production of fossil fuels. However, we are also determined to maximize revenue potential from this critical industry. For this reason, Mr. President says that we are pushing policies to attract investment in the oil and gas sector. He wants me to remind you that recently, he signed an executive order to unlock about $10 billion in fresh investments in the sector. This will happen through fiscal incentives for non-associated gas, midstream and deepwater oil and gas developments. And this he did, again, he says that just last week, the federal government of Nigeria signed the consolidated guidelines for implementing fiscal incentives for the oil and gas sector. The guidelines, which represent a cornerstone of the presidential directive, aim to enhance the Nigerian oil and gas sector's global competitiveness while stimulating the economic growth. The executive order also streamlines contracting processes, procedures, and timelines from 36 months to 6 months. The order also seeks to ensure that local content requirements are implemented without impeding investments or the cost competitiveness of oil and gas projects. Related to these are the reforms we are implementing to our tax regimes to limit the taxes collected without negatively affecting government revenues. All of these have the same objective: to reduce government interference with the commercial imperatives of business in the country so that business based here can be competitive and focus on their core objectives of economic growth through innovation and trade. We will need, Mr. President says, the support of the National Assembly to fully implement some of these reforms, as statutory changes will be required in some areas. Says he is confident that when the time comes, the governing partnership we have established between the executive and the legislature will ensure that these changes are effected swiftly to benefit our nation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of the House of Representatives, Mr. President had asked me to convey to you that we can only justify our collective mandate and trust our people, and the trust our people repose in us through constructive collaboration between the National Assembly and the executive. This point he needed me to underpin and emphasize. There has to be collaboration between both the National Assembly and the executive for us to justify the collective mandate and trust that our people have reposed in us. Now, he says this joint effort is the minimum the people who voted for us expect from us. However, the very essence, and this is important, the very essence of checks and balances means that there will be times when the executive and the legislative prerogatives inevitably collide. I was Speaker here for 4 years, and there were many times when interests would conflict. But Mr. President has a solution, which we try to follow in the 9th Assembly, and I believe that we will do this even better in the 10th Assembly. He said, when that happens, the national interest must guide our decisions in those moments. So there's no denying that those moments will come, but that when they do come, and hopefully few and far between, when they do come, that the national interest must guide our decisions in those moments. We share a common responsibility in shaping the future of our nation, and it is through our collaboration that we can effectively fulfill this duty. Mr. President congratulates the leadership of the House of Representatives on the vision of this retreat and applaud all the people who have worked hard to make it a reality. He thanks you for the invitation to join you here today, and he has asked me on his behalf to declare this retreat open to the glory of God and for the benefit of the Nigerian people. I wish you successful deliberations. May God bless you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And those were highlights of the two-day retreat for lawmakers organized by the leadership of the House of Representatives. The House has adjourned plenary till the 7th of May, when the business of lawmaking will be in full swing. And you can be sure the NTA will keep you abreast of parliamentary proceedings. That's the much we can take on the package today. We thank you for being a part of the program as we look forward to another episode. Until then, I am Itaire Ikben. Bye for now.
You can't.